The call came at 3 in the morning. A hospital in the Hamptons. My twin sister Kai had been in an accident. Car crash. Single vehicle. The nurse on the phone used words like critical and immediate family and come quickly. My blood turned to ice water in my veins. I threw clothes into a bag and drove the 5 hours from my apartment in Brooklyn through the dark, my mind screaming one question. What were you doing out there? The Sunrise Cove Hospital was all gleaming floors and silent halls. A doctor met me, her face tired. Ms. Monroe. Your sister is stable, but she's in a medically induced coma. The swelling in her brain. We need to wait for it to go down. She led me to the ICU. And there was Kai. My mirror image. Her face, usually so full of sharp, clever life, was pale and still beneath a network of tubes and bandages. A machine breathed for her. I took her hand, so cold, and my tears fell on our linked fingers. I was leaving the ICU waiting room when they arrived. The Montgomerys. Arthur Montgomery, our father. His wife, Victoria. Their son, my half-brother, Jordan. They moved through the hospital like they owned it, which, in a way, they did. Arthur's donations probably built this wing. He saw me and stopped. His expression not of concern, but of cold annoyance. Aaliyah, what are you doing here? Kai is my sister, I said, my voice flat. This is a family matter, Victoria said, smoothing her already perfect blouse. She never looked directly at me. I was a smudge on her perfect world. Jordan, just a year younger than us, smirked. He'd always enjoyed Kai's and my strained status. I am her family, I insisted. Arthur just waved a dismissive hand and went to speak to the doctor. I heard snippets. Ensure discretion. The press mustn't get wind. Her own reckless behavior. They were managing a scandal, not caring for a daughter. Later, in a private family room, Arthur laid it out. Kai was at a party she shouldn't have been at. With people who are problematic. She took a car, likely intoxicated. This looks very bad for us. The merger with the Diop Group is in 6 weeks. We cannot have this kind of attention. So what? You just hide her. I asked, disgusted. We protect the family, Victoria corrected. We'll issue a statement saying she's traveling in Europe for a wellness retreat. The hospital staff is discreet. She'll stay here until she wakes. Then we'll send her to a private facility in Switzerland to recover. Facility. Where they could keep her quiet. Where the spare twin, the one who'd rejected their world for a normal life as a graphic designer, wouldn't be a complication. Kai was the socialite, the one who played their game. But she was still just a tool to them. Expendable. The rage that started in the ICU began to harden into something solid and cold in my chest. I spent the next 2 days at the hospital. The Montgomerys visited once, for 10 minutes. I learned more from the kind nurse, Tasha. Your sister's personal effects, she said, handing me a plastic bag. Inside was Kai's phone, shattered but still holding a charge, and a small, fancy clutch. Later, charging the phone with a borrowed cable, I saw the notifications. Dozens of frantic texts from a group chat labeled, The Gilded Cage. Texts to an unknown number. I have proof. They know I took it. If anything happens to me. The last outgoing call was not to 911. It was to a private driver service, logged for 1:15 a.m. The accident was reported at 1:45. She was 30 minutes from the party address on her phone. This was no drunken accident. Kai was running. Someone made sure she didn't get far. The plan formed in the silence of that hospital room, watching my sister's chest rise and fall. The Montgomerys wanted Kai silenced. They wanted a seamless facade. Could give them one. I was the spare. The invisible one. The one who knew Kai's smile, her laugh, the slight tilt of her head when she was lying. We'd spent a childhood mirroring each other for fun. I could do it for real. I went to the family estate, Montgomery Hall. Arthur was in his study. I have a proposal, I said, my voice calm, unlike the storm inside. You need Kai present for the merger. The Diopes expect the Montgomery heiress to be part of the social package. Send Kai to Switzerland, but really send me. I'll be her. I'll do the parties, the appearances. I'll be the perfect daughter for your deal. He stared, calculating. Why would you do this? Because she's my sister. And you'll pay for her real best care here. Not some prison abroad. And you'll pay me $1 million when the merger closes. It was a number I pulled from the air, but it made it sound real, greedy, something he could understand. He leaned back. And if you're exposed, you'll deny me. Say I'm an imposter, a troubled lookalike trying to extort you. I'll be the one who looks insane. I was counting on his arrogance. He believed his own power was absolute. A slow smile spread on his face. 6 weeks. Don't slip up. The transformation was swift and brutal. Kai's stylist, Misha, was paid a bonus for her discretion and her sharp eyes. She cut and dyed my hair to match Kai's exact honey blonde highlights. I was immersed in Kai's world through her cloud photos, her social media, videos from her famous party vlogs. I learned her signature, a looping, dramatic scrawl. I practiced her voice, slightly higher than mine, her walk, confident and a little careless. I moved into her penthouse, a cold, beautiful space that felt like a museum. I found her secrets. A locked journal in her bedside table. The code was our shared birthday. Pages filled with fury and fear. They see me as decoration. Jordan is skimming from the Africa Fund. Father is making deals with poisonous people. I found the ledger. It's all real. And the final entry, the night of the accident. They know. Have to get out. The driver is coming. Meeting at the bridge. I have to get the ledger to the press. My hands shook. The ledger. Proof. Of what? My first test was a charity luncheon. Victoria eyed me like a defective product as we arrived. Just smile and don't talk too much, she hissed. I felt every stare. Was I right? Was I wrong? I saw Kai's friend, Simone, and waved with just the fingers the way Kai did. Simone blew a kiss back. I circulated, dropping Kai's phrases. Darling, you look incredible. This champagne is divine, no? I laughed at her laugh, light and tinkling. Inside I was screaming. Focused on listening. The women talked about their husbands' deals, about stocks, about secrets wrapped in gossip. I heard Jordan's name mentioned with a sneer. He's a liability, one woman murmured. Arthur needs to rein him in before the Diop deal. Afterwards, Victoria gave a stiff nod. Adequate. It was the highest praise I'd ever get. Jordan was my next target. At a family dinner at the hall. He was already half drunk. Sis, he slurred, throwing an arm around me. Heard you had a close call. Maybe you should stick to shopping. I channeled Kai's sharp tongue. Maybe you should stick to the allowance father gives you and stop playing businessman with his money. I said it lightly, a teasing jab, but his eyes flashed with panic before turning hard. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? I smiled, sipping my wine. The Africa Relief Fund must be so demanding. He paled and walked away. It hit a nerve. The journal was right. Later, I searched his old bedroom at the hall. In a hollowed-out classic novel I found a flash drive. On its spreadsheets, money meant for clean water projects in Malawi was being diverted. 6 figures. To an offshore account. Jordan's personal piggy bank. I made a copy. My first piece of ammunition. I needed an ally. I remembered the texts to N. Scrolling through Kai's contacts, I found it. Nyla. A reporter for an online investigative outlet. I met her at a noisy downtown cafe, wearing huge sunglasses. Kai, she said, confused. You look different. It's been a rough few weeks, I said, using Kai's voice. I have more. But I need your help. The ledger. What is it? Nyla leaned in. It's a record. Arthur's shell companies. Bribes to city officials to push through developments that displaced whole neighborhoods. Payoffs to environmental inspectors to look the other way. It's how Montgomery Capital really works. She looked at me, suspicious. You said you had it. You said you took it from his study. My heart hammered. Kai had taken it. But where was it? It wasn't with her things. There was a complication. I need to find it again. Can you wait? And can you look into something else? I slid a note with Jordan's fun details. My brother's hobby. She took the note. For you, Kai. But be careful. These people, they play for keeps. The main event was the Diop family dinner. Kwame Diop, the patriarch, was considering merging his sustainable energy company with Montgomery Capital. It would give Arthur a clean reputation. It was all a lie. I wore Kai's most stunning dress. Kwame's daughter Amara was my age, sharp-eyed and quiet. Kai, she said, my father speaks highly of your father's vision. Vision is important, I said, repeating a line I'd heard Arthur use. But integrity is the real foundation, don't you think? I saw a flicker of interest in her eyes. During dessert, I maneuvered to sit beside her. We talked about art, not business. I mentioned a gallery showing black abstract painters. My own interest, not Kai's. Amara's face lit up. I love that gallery, she said. For a moment, it wasn't Kai she was talking to. It was me. Afterwards, Kwame pulled Arthur aside. Your daughter is impressive. Amara finds her genuine. Arthur shot me a look of surprised approval. I smiled at my sister's perfect smile. I was getting close. I became obsessed with finding the ledger. It was the key. I searched Kai's penthouse again, tearing it apart. Nothing. Then I remembered our childhood trick. When we wanted to hide something from the nanny, we'd tape it to the underside of a specific drawer. I checked Kai's vanity. Nothing. Her jewelry box. Nothing. Then I went to Montgomery Hall, to Kai's old bedroom, now a guest room. I pulled out the bottom drawer of the heavy dresser. Taped to the underside, in a waterproof pouch, was a small black leather book. The ledger. I flipped through it. Names, dates, amounts, project codes. It was all there. The corruption in Arthur's own handwriting. My hands trembled with triumph and terror. I began to plant seeds. At brunch, I sighed loudly about family stress. When pressed, I said, "Oh, just Jordan's little side projects. Father is so disappointed." The gossip spread. I saw Jordan getting cold shoulders at the club. He cornered me in the hall. "What are you doing?" he snarled. "Being a concerned sister," I said sweetly. "Someone has to look out for the family name." He looked like he wanted to hit me. I held his gaze, unblinking. He backed down first. With Victoria, I used flattery that felt like poison. "Your garden party was the talk of the town, Victoria. Just perfect. It must be so hard to maintain such perfection with so many imperfections lurking." She'd frown, not sure if she was being complimented or insulted. The merger announcement gala was the pinnacle. Every society page would be there. I wore Kai's most iconic gown. I was on all night, sparkling and empty. I made sure to be photographed with Amara Diop, laughing like old friends. I saw Kwame watching, nodding. During his speech, Arthur praised family unity and a shared bright future. I stood beside him, smiling. My clutch, Kai's clutch from the hospital, felt heavy. Inside was the flash drive copy of Jordan's theft and photos of key pages from the ledger. At the peak of the applause, I let my smile falter. I swayed slightly, bringing a hand to my forehead. "Kai, darling," Victoria whispered, her grip on my arm tight and fake. I just need some air," I murmured, loud enough for those nearby to hear. I made a show of walking unsteadily towards the terrace. Drama was Kai's currency. I was just spending it. On the dark, empty terrace I waited. I didn't have to wait long. Amara Diop stepped out. "Are you all right?" she asked, genuine concern in her voice. "No," I said, and I let my voice drop closer to my own. "Amara, I need to tell you something. And I need you to trust me." I handed her the clutch. "Here is proof that my brother is stealing from charity. And proof that my father's business is built on corruption. The merger would use your family's good name to cover his rot." She stared at me, then at the clutch. Why are you telling me this? You're his daughter. Because I'm not who you think I am, I said. And I told her. About Kai. About the accident that wasn't. About the spare twin stepping in. I'm Aaliyah. And I'm here to burn it all down. She was silent for a long moment. Then she took the clutch. I'll have my people look at this. If it's true. Thank you. For your integrity. The fallout was not immediate. It was a slow, quiet poison. Over the next week I heard whispers. The Diop lawyers were suddenly asking additional due diligence questions. Jordan was called into emergency meetings with the family lawyer. His face gray. Arthur was quieter, angrier, snapping at Victoria. I played my part, wide-eyed and confused. Is everything all right, father? I asked at dinner. Nothing you need to worry about, he growled. But he was worried. The foundation was cracking. Then Nyla published her first article. It didn't name names yet, but it detailed the siphoning of funds from the Mighty Rivers Africa charity. The social media clues pointed directly to Jordan. The society blogs, once fawning, turned vulture. Hashtag where did the water money go started trending. Jordan exploded. He stormed into the penthouse, drunk and raging. You did this, he screamed. You and your little investigations. I don't know what you're talking about, I said coolly, channeling Kai's best dismissive tone. Maybe you shouldn't have been so greedy. He lunged at me. I didn't flinch. I'd taken self-defense classes for years. As he grabbed for me, I twisted his arm and shoved him back hard. He stumbled, crashing into Kai's glass coffee table. Shattered. He lay amidst the shards, shocked. You're not Kai, he breathed, looking up at me with dawning horror. Kai couldn't do that. No, I said, standing over him. She couldn't. That's why she's in a hospital bed. And that's why I'm here. The final move was the ledger. Nyla was ready. But I wanted Arthur to know it was me. I requested a meeting in his study, the seat of his power. I wore one of Kai's power suits. The Diops are pulling out, he said, pouring a whiskey, his back to me. They cite ethical inconsistencies. Jordan is finished. We'll have to cut him loose. A messy business. But the company will survive. We always do. No, I said. My voice was my own. You won't. He turned. He heard the difference immediately. What did you say? I said you won't survive. I held up my phone, showing a photo of the ledger's first page. This is going public tomorrow. Every bribe, every payoff, every displaced family. Nyla James is publishing it. His face went from confusion to fury. Ooh, despair. This was you. Kai tried to stop you, I said, my voice trembling now not with fear, but with released rage. She tried to be the good daughter, the one who played by your rules, and you broke her for it. You treated her like a spare part, and when she threatened your machine, you had her removed. So I came in, and I learned how the machine works. And now I'm taking a wrench to it. The next day, the story detonated. Nyla's full report, with the ledger documents, was everywhere. The news vans surrounded Montgomery Hall. Arthur was perp-walked out of his office by the SEC and the FBI. Victoria was photographed fleeing to her sister's house, hiding her face. Jordan was arrested for fraud and embezzlement. The Montgomery name was mud. The company's stock plummeted. The empire was crumbling, and I watched from Kai's penthouse, now legally mine as I executed her power of attorney, another document I'd found. I visited Kai. I held her hand and told her everything. It's done, sis. They can't hurt you anymore. The people who did this, they're next. I won't stop until I find them. A tear rolled from her closed eye. The nurse said it was a reflex. I chose to believe she heard me. Amara Diop reached out. Her father had withdrawn the merger, of course. But she had a new proposal. We're launching a foundation, she said. To reinvest in the communities your father's developments damaged. We want you on the board. The real you. Aaliyah. It was a chance for redemption. Not for me, but for Kai's name, for the good she'd tried to do. Accepted. I also used the Montgomery money, now under my control as Kai's proxy, to fund the best neurologists in the world. They were hopeful. They talked about new treatments, about the potential for her to wake up. I believed them. I stood on the terrace of the penthouse, looking out at the city. The spare had become the heir. The invisible twin was now the most visible, but on my own terms. I hadn't just replaced my sister. I had avenged her. I had dismantled the gilded cage, bar by poisonous bar. The family that treated us as spare parts was now scattered and broken. Their wealth and power, the tools they used to control us, were now the tools of their ruin. And I was just getting started. The driver, the person who ran Kai off the road. That was a thread I was still pulling. The ledger had names. My new resources could find them. Kai's accident was their beginning of the end. My revenge was the execution. And our future, whatever it held, would be ours alone to write. The spare had won. And the real fight was just beginning.